Chimpanzees copying human habits. Viral fashion trend at Zambian sanctuary. Get ready for a wild ride as we dive into a fascinating story that's got scientists scratching their heads. In a remote wildlife sanctuary in Zambia, chimpanzees have developed a bizarre new fashion trend that's leaving researchers stunned. These clever creatures have taken to dangling grass or sticks from their ears and, get this, even inserting twigs into their rectums. But here's where it gets controversial. Researchers believe this unique behavior originated from observing their human caregivers. Yes, you heard that right. The chimps seem to have picked up on this peculiar habit and spread it like wildfire through their community, showcasing their incredible capacity for social learning and cultural adoption. And this is the part most people miss. Chimpanzees, just like us humans, have the ability to adopt behaviors through observation and imitation. It's a form of culture within their community, and it's mind-blowing to witness. Dr. Ed Van Leeuwen, a behavioral biologist leading this study, explains that the chimps' actions are more like a fashion statement or social tradition rather than a functional necessity. They seem relaxed and content, suggesting it's a choice they make, much like humans following the latest trends. Over a decade later, a separate group of chimpanzees living miles away started displaying the same ear-dangling behavior, and they've even took it a step further by inserting twigs into their rectums. The question arises, how did this trend spread without direct contact between the groups? The answer lies in the influence of human caregivers. Staff at the sanctuary reportedly had a habit of cleaning their ears with matchsticks or twigs, and the chimps, being the curious creatures they are, observed and copied this behavior. Years later, when some of the same caregivers began working with the second group of chimps, the trend was potentially reintroduced, spreading through indirect social transmission. This is a trend that went viral, not through the internet, but via social learning, says Van Leeuwen. This phenomenon highlights the evolution of chimpanzees' abilities and their remarkable capacity for cultural transmission. It's a striking example of how these intelligent creatures use social cues to fit in, bond, and communicate within their community. While the sanctuary environment provides more leisure time for such behaviors to develop, Van Leeuwen believes wild chimpanzee populations are just as capable of creating similar traditions. It's all about time and observation. Van Leeuwen's future research will focus on whether chimpanzees can develop cumulative culture, building upon previous innovations, a hallmark of human civilization. Dr. Elodie Freeman from the University of Oxford, commenting on these findings, describes them as mind-blowing. She adds, the idea that chimpanzees may be copying human behaviors opens up new frontiers. Could they also be learning from other animal species? This could fundamentally shift our understanding of cultural transmission in the animal kingdom. So what do you think? Are chimpanzees simply copying human behaviors, or is there something more to the story? Let's discuss in the comments and explore the fascinating world of animal culture and its implications. Chimpanzees adopt quirky social fads. Captive primates mirror human culture. Ever wondered if humans are the only ones who fall for pointless trends? Believe it or not, chimpanzees, our closest animal relatives, also pick up the latest fads, even when they make zero sense. But here's where it gets controversial. Researchers have spotted wild waves of peculiar behavior among chimpanzees, like stuffing grass in their ears or even up their backsides, with absolutely no survival advantage. Why would they imitate something so impractical? And what could this tell us about the roots of human culture? A surprising study recently published in the journal Behavior lifted the curtain on this social mystery. Over a period of observation at the Chimfunshi Wildlife Orphanage in Zambia, scientists watched 147 chimpanzees sorted into 8 distinct groups. Then, in one particularly close-knit group, something unexpected happened. Within just a few short weeks, nearly 2/3 of these chimps spontaneously began sliding blades of grass or small sticks into their ears and, for reasons known only to them, some even started tucking it into their rectums. Yes, you read that right. And this is the part most people miss. These oddball customs weren't seen in any of the other 136 chimps in the other groups. Except for a small exception of 2 chimps in another troop that had flirted with the grass-in-ear look more than 10 years prior. It's as if one group collectively invented their own version of chimpanzee fashion, with others showing no interest. Can you picture a chimp version of the latest TikTok dance challenge? Dr. Edwin van Leeuwen, who heads the research team at Utrecht University, teamed up with Dr. Jake Brooker from Durham University's Department of Psychology. Dr. Brooker was quick to point out the mystery. These behaviors don't seem to serve any purpose at all. We're not talking about tool use or hunting tricks. They're just for show, as far as we can tell. What makes this even more thought-provoking is that most cases of social learning in animals involve sharing skills that make life easier, like cracking nuts or fishing for bugs. So what's going on here? Why would chimpanzees copy behaviors that seem, frankly, useless? Here's a possible explanation. The structured environment of captivity may give chimps more free time than their wild counterparts, who are always on alert for danger or foraging for food. Without survival worries filling their days, captive chimpanzees may have the luxury to pick up and spread odd habits that don't actually help them at all. But, and here's where the debate starts, does this mean that the drive to adopt and mimic arbitrary social customs is not unique to human beings? If chimpanzees can build and sustain traditions that serve no functional purpose, could this challenge what we think we know about the roots of culture itself? The implications are vast. The research suggests that sharing traditions, or even passing along bizarre behavior, could be part of a much older legacy among primates. Does it make us question how much what we call culture is learned versus instinctive? This study was supported by the Templeton World Charity Foundation and can be explored in further detail via a published article. If you're intrigued by the people behind the discovery, you can read about Dr. Jake Brugger and Dr. Edwin van Leeuwen online. And for those interested in the academic edge at Durham, note that its psychology department holds an impressive position in the 2025 QS World University Rankings by subject. Here's the burning question. Do you think this kind of useless chimpanzee trend genuinely proves that our animal cousins have a form of culture? Or is it just an odd quirk that happens when intelligent creatures get bored? Is human fashion and social media fads really that different? Join the conversation and let us know what you think. Should we be rethinking not just what it means to be human, but what it means to share culture at all? Chimpanzees' strange grass fashion trend. A fascinating social behavior. Chimps embrace grass fashion. Here's the surprising reason. Recent studies reveal that chimpanzees exhibit a remarkable ability to influence each other's fashion choices within their social circles, much like humans do. This intriguing discovery emerged from observations of chimpanzees residing in a sanctuary in Zambia, where they began to mimic one another by adorning themselves with blades of grass in their ears and even in their rear ends. Researchers suggest that this behavior appears to be driven solely by a desire to fit in with their peers, rather than any practical purpose. Jake Brooker, a researcher from Durham University and co-author of a new study published in the journal Brill, humorously noted, the well-known grass-in-ear behavior has now evolved into grass-in-rear. He shared insights on social learning among animals, stating, just like humans, many animals acquire behaviors by observing those around them. Most studies in this field have concentrated on behaviors that offer clear survival advantages, such as nut-cracking skills in chimpanzees. A trend that started a decade ago. Interestingly, this trend can be traced back to a decade ago when researchers first noticed a female chimp at the Chimfunshi Wildlife Orphanage Trust sporting grass in her ear. This sparked a fascinating phenomenon. Other chimps in her social group began to adopt the same style. What's even more astonishing is that this trend has continued, with a new generation of chimps at the sanctuary now embracing this quirky fashion statement. In fact, they have added their own twist to the trend by also wearing grass in their rear ends. Grass as a symbol of social tradition. The researchers concluded that this behavior represents a form of social tradition among this specific group of chimpanzees. They explained, we have previously documented a tool use tradition without a clear function, where chimpanzees imitated the practice of inserting blades of grass in their ears from a single persistent innovator. Now, over 10 years later, we have observed an unrelated group of chimpanzees at the same sanctuary, where 5 out of 8 individuals began wearing grass in their ears, then 6 out of 8 from their rectums in a remarkably short time frame. Curious to see these fashionable chimps? Check out the images of chimps sporting grass in their ears. For those interested in the detailed findings, you can read the full research study here. Brill.com, view/journals/BHE/172/particle P495. What do you think about this unique behavior? Is it merely a trend, or does it signify something deeper about social learning in animals? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Image credit, Livana Getty Images.